Welcome back to Great Day. Our next guest has become successful pretty early in his career, and he's so thankful for that. Billions of streams landed him a spot on the Rodeo Houston lineup, and it doesn't hurt that People magazine named Warren Zeiders one of the sexiest men alive. We caught up with Warren before he hits the main stage Saturday the 15th. Warren, you are a Hershey, Pennsylvania native, the home of good chocolate. It sounds like you had kind of a great, wholesome upbringing, which leads itself into country music. Loved fishing, hunting with your granddad, but your dad loved hard rock. Your mama loved 90s country.
Sounds about right. You did your research.
All right. So you had obviously exposure to great music as a kid. You listened to lots of Christian music as well because you're devoted to your faith. What was the moment where you connected to music where you thought, I don't want to just listen to it, I want to do it?
My story really began during COVID. I wasn't playing your local dive bars. I wasn't doing that whole thing. I wasn't in Nashville playing Broadway. I had no connections whatsoever to the music industry, nor knew anyone in it. And COVID hit.
But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom.
I hopped on social media while I was in college to pass the time. And videos started to kind of compound. The views got more and more. I always like to say that my followers turned into fans. Whenever I'm asked this question in my VIPs and my meet and greets at my shows, I always tell my fans that they're the reason why I started doing this, because they pushed me into it, and I took the opportunity and haven't looked back since. So 4 years into it, and it's been a wild ride.
Are you still surprised about what happened?
I think there's days where it hits you a little bit harder than others, but then there's days of self-reflection of, I've worked my tail off for this. I take a lot of pride in my career and in my daily life of what I do, and I do my best to take all the correct steps to continue to build the foundation brick by brick.
And that foundation actually started earlier than COVID. You first picked up a guitar in 6th grade, and your mom put you in lessons.
Let's just say I did not do the best as a kid doing my lessons or practicing. So I played lacrosse for 12 years, and that was my love and my passion. The guitar was not my priority. Let's just say that.
Yeah, you had options. You had options. And the interesting thing is that it's such a life lesson, is that adversity opened the door to opportunity, because you love sports, but you got injured a couple of times, and you basically said, okay, maybe I need to turn to something else.
100%. And I think that is a great lesson for anyone listening, is that numerous times we're going to face adversity at all different stages of life. And for me, facing something like that, where I committed myself to a sport for 12 years, and you kind of start to identify with that sport. That's kind of what you're known as. You're the college athlete who committed himself to that for years and years and years. So when it came down to having to hang that up for good, it was definitely some mental roadblocks I had to get through. It was not an easy thing to give up, but I'm thankful that the good Lord also gave me the gift of a good voice, writing some good songs.
God only knows which way I'm heading, only knows if I'll ride.
And then there's that right place at right time type of thing. You were in a place where the local musician was taking requests, and he wasn't quite familiar with a particular song, and you're like, I can play that.
My parents were going out to eat, and they invited me to come out with them. At this time, I just moved back home to live under their roof, transferred colleges. There was someone playing live music, and I always like to say it felt like an angel put their hand on my shoulder, told me to go up there and give it a try, because that is definitely something that was not in my comfort zone or out of my wheelhouse, where I was not one to go play in front of people. Now I do it in front of 10s, 20s, 30,000.
Yeah, and it's different from sports. When you're out there on the field with the team, it's like, they see you, but they don't see you. But you're almost like naked when you're on a stage and you're performing.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, especially being on a team sport like lacrosse. You're not specifically under the microscope. Now doing what I do, whether it's on social media or on a stage, your whole life is on a microscope.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. You described that moment after you got through performing. It was almost like an out-of-body experience for you.
Yes, I've said that numerous times, that it just kind of clicked. I got chills. I got excitement when people were coming up to me after I was done playing, like, hey, do you play anywhere else? I'm like, no, this is my first time ever, standing in front of people and singing.
You thought you wanted to be an athlete, but as you said, God had other plans, and you haven't looked back since. Age 21, you released your debut single, Ride the Lightning.
Gonna ride the lightning, feel the thunder, till the darkness pulls me under.
You have Pretty Little Poison, which was also very successful.
She's my pretty little poison.
You have over 150,000 tickets sold, 55 sold-out shows, played Madison Square Garden. You debuted at the Grand Ole Opry, which is such a great thing to put on that bucket list, but something that probably you weren't expecting, but we all agree, featured in People's Sexiest Man Alive.
It's funny you should say that, because the magazine is sitting on my countertop. I was quite pleased to see that. I'm very fortunate to be in that position at 25 years old, and it felt good to take on that win.
Yeah, gosh, 25 years old, album after album. You have Relapse, you have your double album, Relapse, Lies, and Betrayal.
Maybe we should relapse, drink us 1 or 2 or 3 jigs.
You're a bona fide superstar. When you look at these numbers and you hear these numbers, how does it impact you? Over 3 billion global streams, over 2 billion TikTok views, and nearly 8 million monthly Spotify listeners.
Honestly, it makes me want it that much more. I'm a very much so a person that sports background is, I always like to say I'm happy but never satisfied. Some of the most influential and motivational people that I listen to on a daily basis always talk about that if you're ever fully satisfied, then that hunger inside of you, or that drive, or that strive to want to be better in your own personal life and your career, there's nothing to grow towards. So that being said, there's a whiteboard behind me over my left shoulder that has 10 million monthly listeners on there, and a quote that is, nothing changes if nothing changes. And those are things that I have set out for this year, that I want to hit 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify. That's one of my goals. And nothing changes if nothing changes is a great way to kind of approach your everyday life, to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, to test the boundaries, whether that's for me and my fitness goals, trying something new in the writer's room today, or it doesn't get easy, but getting ahead and sitting in 39-degree water every single morning for 3 to 5 minutes.
Wow.
In my cold plunge. I'm always striving to callous my mind and body, to push myself to the limit, and just continue to grow.
All right, so another thing on the bucket list for a lot of performers is the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So from Hershey to Houston, what can we expect at your concert?
I haven't even been touring for 3 years yet. So at the end of March will be my 3-year anniversary of since stepping on a stage and playing live music. So to say last year I was there at the Houston Rodeo, but I was outside in a tent playing for about 400 people for a radio event, to now say I'm headlining on a Saturday in front of 60,000+ people is nothing but God's grace and God's favor and his hand over my life, and just the ability that I've had to connect with fans. All that being said, you mentioned Ride the Lightning being my first hit, released back in 21. That song took the rodeo world by storm. It was insane to see the support and all the love behind that song through all the TikToks and Instagram videos I was tagged in. So I think for me, you're gonna have a great country feel, whether it's from my country ballads to that rock and roll flair that makes me me in the live shows. So it's gonna be high energy, high octane, and I will promise people this much: if you've never seen me live, that's my opportunity to make you a fan for life that night. Up to no good, up all night till the day comes.
Yeah, because you got both Mama and Daddy there. One was a little bit country, the other's rock and roll. You're too young to remember that. That was like Donnie and Marie. But anyway, Warren, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We can't wait for you to get here.
Of course, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Again, Warren Zeiders will perform on the main stage at Rodeo Houston Saturday, March 15th. For a full list of performers and attractions, just go to rodeohouston.com.